All right, so we are going to begin. Remember, the survey told you that you could research whatever topic that you would like to research. However, if you are unaware of a topic to research, you can select one of the following.
Mm. Okay. I'll go with climate change.
All right, climate change.
Yeah.
All right, so you're writing a paper for a particular class based on climate change.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go ahead and begin with where you would start researching your topic.
Okay.
So what will be your first or your beginning point when you start your research?
I start at the school website.
Okay.
And I usually just type in something in the search and see what comes up.
Is there any particular reason why you chose to start with the school website?
Because professors usually want scholarly articles, peer-reviewed articles, things like that. So I usually start at the school website and see what I can find.
Okay.
From there. Ooh, got a lot of stuff.
Why are you changing the publication date?
To get something more recent.
Okay.
And I also checked off scholarly articles. And I didn't do the scholarly. Slowly. I didn't even do it.
So you're changing the publication date, and I see you have over 1 million sources.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So usually when you put in more stuff, it'll minimize the number of sources that come up.
Okay.
So it went down to 820,000 just by changing the year. Now it changed the year. So I'm gonna start in 2000. Yeah. Okay. Now it's at 7.
Okay, so that did narrow down some of your results. That's a good thing.
Let me see.
So what happens when you're on the KSU site and you can't really find what you're looking for? Like it's giving you too broad, your results are too broad, or like you're looking for it to say scholarly and it's not saying scholarly.
Okay. What I just did, when you break down like what you're searching for into subject terms, it pulls up more stuff that's going to be basically in the subjects and in the abstract of what I'm looking for. More so for my subject. So that minimized it down all the way to 1,000.
Right.
And so then I'll probably start going through a few things, or maybe even try to get it further down.
Okay.
And it's still I have to do the scholarly again. So let's see what happens when I do that. Because now that it updated. So scholarly articles, now it's at 500. Okay. So now I'll probably actually start going through stuff because it minimized it a lot. If I can't find anything here, I'm just going to open another tab and see what Google has for me.
So do you use the same search tactics when you're on Google that you will use in the Kennesaw Library?
It's not as easy to do it on Google,
Okay.
because Google technically already filters out like the search, but it's a lot easier to do it on the school website because you can break this down by author, subject terms, abstract,
Okay.
stuff that you're specifically looking for. Google doesn't really do that. It just gives you this huge like mashup of options. And see, even here it's like 6 million. And
Okay.
so I guess I'll just go to the scholarly articles and see what pulls up. So that's at still almost 250,000. So
Okay.
that's 277,000.
So do you go through the same process like at the Kennesaw Library when you kind of narrow down your results? Can you do the same thing again?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, I can pick the time frame again and search the time frame. That same thing will bring it down.
Okay.
I don't actually get the chance to use Google Scholar as much because
Why?
usually I find what I'm looking for in the school library, so I don't have to go through here that much.
Okay.
I'm actually not familiar with it as far as like how to break this down because even now it still is at 174,000.
Okay.
So it's sorted by relevance, patents. I guess let's see, include citations. See what that does. That didn't do much.
So let's say you find you a link or you find a source that you want to use. What do you do to like save that information so that you can use it when you are ready to compose your paper or and use it towards your research or whatever you need that information for?
Like from the school library or
Anywhere. You find you a source,
okay.
you
So
like it.
you're right.
What's your next step?
I'm clicking this. Usually, so I'll go through the article, see if it works or not. Let's say this one works. I will try to save it somewhere.
Okay.
Save it to like my flash drive so I don't lose the information and put in a specific like research folder for the project or permalink it and save that into like my outline for the paper, like a source sheet. I have a source sheet. And then if it's something from Google, I try to do the same thing. If it's like completely an outside source, I'll usually like right click and try to save it as a PDF.
Okay.
And then also just save the URL link and come back to it later. Because I found that's easier if you save it and save the URL because you can do both. You can look back at the document, print it out, highlight it, whatever. And then you can also look at it online.
Okay.
And pull out the stuff that you need specifically.
All right. So then what do you do when you get ready to cite that source? You said you save the links. You may email it to yourself. But when it comes to citing, how do you approach that?
Usually I'll go to Purdue OWL and look at how to cite it and just do it myself based off of whatever is on the website, author, the date I accessed it, the print, if it's a book, that kind of thing.
Okay.
I know some people, and I actually noticed when I was going through the survey, like there's questions about like online citation sources, basically. And I don't use those because I know my freshman year I've heard so much that, oh, it'll work sometimes, and then other times it doesn't work.
Okay.
So I've just gotten used to doing it myself and going off of a credible source like Purdue OWL and learning how to cite stuff properly.
Okay. All right, so we've talked about saving your documents. We've talked about what types of search engines you would use. We've talked about how you would cite the information. What about resources? Do you use any of the resources that they offer at Kennesaw, such as the Writing Center or the Ask a Librarian function, or actually speaking directly to a librarian?
Yes. Two of those I don't actually use. I use the last one, which is actually talking to the librarian. I find that a lot easier, especially because I've been here for a while, and so I know how my library is set up on this campus, and so I'll just go to the librarian and ask them, okay, I'm doing this project. I need a book. I need sources. I need whatever, and they'll usually help me out that way. In the past, I know the Writing Center has kind of been able to do that thing, but it hasn't been as useful as actually going to the library, I feel like, because they use a lot of web stuff. They're like even in the Writing Center, they have a bunch of computers. They don't have the same, concrete hard copy books as a library does. They also
Okay.
have the database, but the library is going to be able to give me more information.
Okay.
So I just go straight to the library.
All right, and then my last question for that I would like to know
Mm-hmm.
about how many sources do you need, or do you like to have before you get ready to start writing your paper? So once you do your research,
Okay.
you say, "Yeah, I found enough sources. I think
Right.
I'm ready."
That tends to be a difficult question because usually the professor will say, "Oh, you need 15 sources," and I've always been told that like from my mother actually, she says that you should try to get double as many of the sources, and I've even had professors that have said the same thing. So I try to get double as many just so I have like an even pool to pick from because sometimes you'll like a source or it may not work out as well to support or even negate your thought and work out the paper as well. So,
All right.
yeah.
Well, thank you for your time.
No problem.
And we are done.
All right, cool.